So for those of you that were not here last week, here's the email list with your name and your saying as well if you need the first reading, the first email, and the first quiz. Or if you didn't get it because maybe there was some problem with the email, okay? Thank you.
So she's sending out the quizzes and homeworks, or the homeworks and the readings, yeah?
Yes.
So after this class, you'll send out reading 3.
For week 2,
yeah.
But if for any case you didn't get the first reading, just let me know and I can send it. Yeah.
There's also the class notes that are really good that maybe send as an attachment as well. Those are a helpful guide to those.
Isn't it all online? I mean, it's at the...
For those that know where to find it, yeah, ACI Dharma, but what we're doing is we're piecemealing it out every session to keep people actively engaged. Yeah, cool. So, piecemeal, is that what I said?
Yeah.
Is that the right way to say it? I feel my English is lost today. I have 15 minutes to cover the entire class. Any other announcements?
Just one quick announcement. So when you do your homeworks, on the second page is a little sentence that says, write down your dates and times of your homework, or of your meditation. So if you could just do that, that would be terrific.
And put your email in.
Oh, put your email.
Yeah, and regarding your homeworks and your meditation, again, I do as I say, not as I do. I did this for the longest time without it, and it was not good. And the few times that I did it with it, it made all the difference. You won't believe the difference it makes. Even if you sit down, even if you cheat and you don't do 15 minutes, and you sit there for 5 minutes, it's infinitely better than not doing it at all. Infinitely better. For yourself, like not piecing anybody else, for you to get what you want. Don't squander the time. If you're going to give it a little bit of time, don't do it half-assed, is what I'm saying. So, that was the first part. Clean your room, make offerings. Now the posture has 3 parts, yeah? So the posture is your seat, and you'll see in your reading, Jetson Kappa talks about bringing the 2 together, and that refers to getting into the full lotus posture, just like I can never do. So, look, the bottom line there is find a comfortable seat. In our system, a half lotus is fine, and that is where you put your left foot over your right thigh, yeah, and then your other foot can be out or whatever. At the end of the day, the most comfortable is better. We'll cover it in detail later. The back part of your butt should be a little bit higher. You have this triangle thing happening with your knees and the back of the butt, and you'll see that I've usually put this on my left knee so it's not overstretched. You'll find your seat when we cover the posture, but that's part 1. Find a right seat. Comfortable for you. Why comfortable for you? Because you don't want to be thinking about your body. This is a mental experience. This is an inner experience. The body, you're removing all distractions of all the senses. That's why you shut your eyes. That's why you're in a quiet place. That's why you're not drinking lattes. Yeah? So you're shutting down all the senses and finding out who the hell is that thing perceiving all this. Where are you? Where are you? And so you shut down everything, every busyness of the senses that the mind is usually connected with, and one by one you settle them down until your body is no longer a point, an object to focus on. Every itch will go away. Every snot dribbling will just fall. And at some point, it's just that thing perceiving it all. So find a seat that doesn't distract you. That's bottom line. Bottom line. Bottom line. That's funny. The next part of taking the posture part is, besides the seat, is to go for refuge. Yeah? And for those of you who did ACI 2, Go for Refuge has 2 parts. Does anybody remember? What's the first part of... Okay, let's see. Fear. You're scared shitless about something. Yeah, we all go for refuge all the time. That's why you go to mom, you go to the police, you go to the lawyer, you go to the boss, you go to someone, something, you're fearful of something. Yeah? And if you're not afraid, then you don't have an understanding of what's happening on the planet. You're not going to be pretty all the time. You're not going to have lovely hair all the time. Look ahead. In this nominal world, look ahead. You're not going to have your best friend, your best ideas. Your mind goes, your body goes, things droop. Louis Vuitton changes their styles.
No.
I mean, hello. So, first, the idea of refuge has two parts. The first one is, I'm afraid of something. And honestly, you think, if you've ever done a death meditation properly, you know what you're afraid of. And then the next part of refuge is, you think something can help you. Okay? Now, to be a Buddhist, to qualify as a Buddhist, the lowest level, what is refuge, what is Buddhist refuge, the lowest level of fear and faith, or fear and hope that something can help you, is an understanding that this thing, this consciousness continues. What the hell's going to happen to you after this thing dies? What happens to it? And your concern for that, your concern for the continuum of all the activity that you accumulated through this life, and what will erupt beyond it, what will happen, the way you will be later, what happens beyond death, that is the lowest form of motivation for Buddha's refuge. Concern on a daily basis of that it's not just this life. Logic tells you there's more. So that qualifies as a lowest form of Buddhist refuge. Don't want to go to a worse existence than this one. And then that gives you some kind of energy. That's a different state of mind than the state of mind that looks for the Louis Vuitton shoe. That's a different state of mind that looks for the better car, that looks for the better girlfriend, that looks for the better job. Completely different state of mind that says this is ongoing and I don't want to do this over and over and over. And just 2 milliseconds of logic looks at other creatures on the planet, humans included, who are being bombed, chased, hunted, punched, destroyed, killed, all sorts of things. There are other ways of being human. Lucky for you, you don't have that. There are lower ways of being human. For some reason, you don't have that. And then 2 more milliseconds of looking at this world alone looks at animals and other creatures on the planet who are being strung up, cut open, chopped up and eaten, one after the other. There's different ways of experiencing this planet. Something's caused that. They have continuums too. So at the bare minimum, your mind says, Buddhist refuge says, uh-oh, if I give it 2 seconds worth of thought, this thing's not going to stop. This continuum's not going to stop. And there's more than one variation of being. I got lucky. And boy, did you get lucky. Really. Just compare yourself to the people you can see. There's 7 billion of them. In 150 years, not a single one of us will be here like this. Every living sentient creature on the planet is extinguished in 150 years. The oldest turtle, gone. What happens to it? That was long. This is all about taking your seat, right? Your posture. So you've cleaned up your room. You've done the watery thing. That was nice. Yeah. Then you sit down, the legs hurt, and then you get depressed. No, you generate this thing, right? This Buddhist refuge, going, this is for a reason. And then look, this is like 6 milliseconds worth of thought, right? 2 about you being human, 2 about you not being creatures. And then something can turn on in your heart if you think, I am not alone. And even though I've spent just 2 milliseconds thinking about this, and I could see the reality that awaits me and the possibilities that await me, the Louis Vuitton purchasers don't. The loved ones don't seem to. The people chasing cars and girlfriends and boyfriends and shiny objects, they're not thinking that way. I wasn't thinking that way. They might not be thinking that way. And you wish upon them a freedom from that. A freedom from samsara, a freedom from the 5 heaps, etc. You develop in your heart this beautiful thing called bodhicitta. So again, you've woken up, placed your foot down on the ground next to the bed. Your motivation is to clean this holy space where you're going to invoke the best part of you, the beginning of your evolution. You ask someone to please come, whatever form that takes, come. Look, I'm bribing you with offerings, and there's this offering and this offering and this offering. And you wish that upon every creature that's wishing it. And then you sit your bum down. Oh, before that you do a few prostrations, which we'll talk later. Do 3 prostrations. Then you sit your bum down and you generate refuge. You say, oops, this is for real. And then you think of bodhicitta. What's the definition of bodhicitta? The wish for total enlightenment for the sake of every living being. Yeah, that's the short definition. The old long one has under analysis. Yeah, whatever. Or you want to be free. You want to feel the wish to be free, to wake up, to Buddha. That wish, it's possible. Not just for me. Let me be free. Let me find that thing. And then I can help Mum. And all my mums. So that's the posture part. The next one is visualize the merit field. And here is where you actually imagine them coming. Yeah? The merit field here in traditional Tibetan Buddhist thing is this very complicated structure with all these enlightened beings and their grandpas. Yeah? You need to generate in your heart a feeling, a sensation that your root Lama, your heart teacher, that being which most teaches you, the one that keeps showing up, comes. And you've got to generate this. And the reason, look, a merit field or a garden where you plant your virtues can be anybody, any being. We're all merit fields. Yeah? Why? Because upon acting on anyone, you're planting courses for other things to occur. So everyone's a field where if I'm nice to you, I'm going to get merit. You're a field of merit for me. That's what this means. But there's a difference between seeing yourself helping someone who doesn't need too much help, or seeing yourself trying to help a dog wake up and get enlightened, or trying to help see yourself helping the Louis Vuitton purchaser get enlightened, to seeing yourself somebody who's really close to enlightenment get enlightened. There's a big difference in just the way you experience them. In your mind alone, you think it's more likely that this person is going to act upon these wisdoms than the dog won't understand it. Yeah, unless you're doing good magic, and then that's another story. You know, but and then you imagine yourself act. So the results on your actions towards different beings gives you different scope of merit, because just in your mind you perceive that's way more likely. It is more likely that that person's going to reach enlightenment because I see them trying and practicing, etc., than that person. But then you can, that doesn't mean you don't help them, or then the dog. It doesn't mean you don't help them. But in your mind, just quite naturally, logically, you can see the results are way more likely. So imagine the results if you experience yourself totally helping that being that is teaching not just you and everybody. Or your mother.
But don't you think of, do you think of your teacher that was already enlightened and so they wouldn't need the help?
Yeah, no, I'm going levels of help. Yeah, levels of help. So these people needs help, that people needs help. This being here is helping everybody. Offering something to that. Yeah, someone who knows everything for sure. Sorry if I correlated the two. I did that as an example of, in your mind you experience different results from different levels of capacity within beings you encounter, different mirror fields. So find the highest being, maybe a perfected being, to the best way you can. And if your heart lama, your person you're visualizing the being, has a wart that you don't see as enlightened, or has a little bit less hair than you imagine would be perfect hair, then visualize them as perfectly as you can, youthful and vibrant, and maybe translucent, yeah, something special. For those of you who have a heart teacher, you know already what to do. Yeah, this is inviting that essence. Why? Because your sensation is totally charged up. Every action towards that being is supercharged. That's what the comparison was between the dot and the thing. Yep. Root Lama, blah 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 blah. If difficult to visualizing, the Tibetans were so funny. They had these practices where, you know, if you were a bit thick and you couldn't visualize and you like kept going to your teacher, they would put in front of you like a bowl of water, yeah, and a mirror in front of the bowl of water showing a tanka or a painting behind you, so you could visualize the moving Buddha reflected there, right? So, and then you do that, close your eyes, do that, close your eyes, and then gradually the idea will be burnt. If you were too thick and you couldn't focus for a long time, they would hang a knife themselves, right, just above your head, that if it fell, you'd like not be happy. And but that would totally get you focused on so the mirror would be on the knife, right? So you'd be looking at the knife going, okay. And your total focus is on it. Anyway, you don't need to do that. Okay, purify obstacles. Okay, Hector. Purify obstacles. Part 5 has 7 steps. I'm going to review them so you can do your homework, and then we'll cover them in detail. Yeah? But in essence, let me just walk you through how in practice you use this. You wake up in the morning, you clean your space, you're about to do something special, you put out offerings, you do 3 prostrations to this idea, and we'll talk about the prostrations in a second because you have to do them mentally later. Sit down, you take refuge, you think of bodhicitta, and then you purify. And this is, you did it in the meditation that we did at the beginning. You think of the things that are in your conscience that are preventing you from moving forward. You clean them out, and there's a process for doing that. It's like going to confession. Yeah, in front of the highest object you can imagine, you confess clearly. You say, hold on, I did these things and they weren't going to give me any good results. And you feel clean, and there is practices, lots of practices about cleaning those karmas or those obstructions to realizations. But unlike the way I grew up in Catholicism, they had a cubicle for confession, but they didn't have a rejoicicle. You know, I guess your uncle says you should do
You got punished.
yeah, you should go to the rejoicicle. So instantly, after you've cleaned out all the negativities, you should then go and generate a very powerful and strong sensation of all the amazing progress you are doing. That's going to build something in your mind. So then you spend some time deeply in joy. This is part of that practice, okay? Accumulating really positive energy. So these 7, one of them is about the confession, the other 6 is about building positive, accumulating positive. So I'll quickly go through the 7 here. The first one is prostration, so you do a mental prostration. I'll explain that next thing. The next one, you do some mental offerings, and there's a text in your reading about that. The next one, Shakpa, is Shakpa. It's about opening up, and you do a purification. Like the one I talked about just now, which was like the confession. And the fourth one is rejoicing, which I just covered. The next one is, the fifth one is Chukokorwa, which means the wheel of the Dharma, turning the wheel of the Dharma. And this is requesting your teacher to please teach you. So you're asking them to please, at every turn, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's your leg falling asleep or you getting out of the meditation seat and having a bad text from your grandma or something, everything, may it all be a teaching. Whether it's good or bad, may it all be a message from them, a special message from them. So you're asking them. I'll cover it more in detail. I'm up to 5. Was that 6? Sondep, right? Asking them to stay. You know, there's a story about the Buddha when he was passing or pretending to pass, that it was one of his students not asking them to stay. And so you think of the incredible virtue that you're burning up by having an experience of a being in front of you teaching you. And there are people in the world that don't have this luxury, don't have people teaching them. Even nominally, you know, Dharma teachers come and go in some towns. You know, there'd be 2-3 years before a Dharma teacher would come and teach in a class. And there's all these people wanting this wisdom and wanting this knowledge, and they don't come to them. Why? Let alone all the people who want something don't even know that there are existing teachers that can teach them. So for some reason we got this virtue and you want to keep it going, so you say, please stay. Literally, say, don't die. Yeah, stay. And the 7th one happens after meditation. So at this point you meditate. Which is the point of the entire course, right? At this point, now you meditate. So you've done a whole bunch of external things. You sit down on your seat, you do a bunch of these up to please stay, please stay. Then you do your meditation, and then there are all these meditation practices. After that, you do the 7th one, which is a dedication. Now, the dedication is you've just done something. You've just produced karma. You've produced a seed for a result, and it is virtuous and high and magnificent. And you want to throw it as far forward as possible, sealed and protected, so it's not destroyed by the next millisecond when you get the shits about something. Yeah? And you want it to come to you. So you dedicate it. You wish it landing on as many beings as possible, ripening right now. And that is supposed to cement and keep your those seeds in particular from being destroyed by anger or jealousy or in negative states of mind, if you keep them selfishly for yourself. So throwing them forward to as many beings as possible, they're safe from your own crappiness.
I'm sorry, that's the 7th?
That's number 7.
Okay. And the meditation was which one?
Meditation it doesn't even exist there. These are all the preparation practice. So meditation is between 6 and 7 of the 5th. Yeah? Got that? Yeah. Welcome to Tibetan Buddhist stuff. And last one is requesting for blessings. And this is different to requesting for teachings. This is a request from your teacher, for your teacher to please give you the capacity to grow. The capacity to understand things you don't understand. This is jinla. To gain high spiritual knowledge, to, you know, there are limits. There seem to be limits about the way you understand things. This is to go beyond those limits. to give you deeper insights about the way you learn. Aptitude, I'd say you'd call that. Yeah. Aptitude, blah 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 blah, and that is saying that. So the way you see every single teaching from the first of the Lam Rim practices, which is renunciation, but it's finding a teacher, right? The first step is finding a teacher, to the very last of the Lam Rim, which is getting enlightenment, right? And that big bang in the middle, which is seeing emptiness directly, having perfection of wisdom, great, prajna paramita. In every one of those stages, may they give you the capacity, the aptitude to get it, to really get it. You're asking for that. And how do you do that? You do that by imagining them like we all should have them now in our heads, because at the beginning of our meditation we place them at the crown of our head, and they are perfected beings. And we're about to do it now just as we finish. You imagine them entering the crown of your head and traveling just in front of your spine all the way to a special holy place in your heart, and you're in a beautiful mega world in there, in miniature if you like, that looks massive from the inside. Yeah? And they sit there in a lotus and a cushion, sun and moon in your heart. This is the way they visualize it, but what should it feel like? What should you visualize? How should it turn your internal systems on? And this is imagining that there really is a being out there that has perfected these ideas, that has really gone beyond death, that can understand the way things really work, because the way we're figuring things work don't seem to work for us. And even in the psychological perspective of this, just allowing your mind the space to think those things is a freedom. That's psychology alone. But in the causal sense, this produces a result. So let's do that just quickly. Let's first of all dedicate, which is called Nangwa. Thank you. Yeah. And so we've done an amazing thing in the last 2 hours. If you've had a minute wish that wisdom and love comes to people, if you've had a millisecond of real refuge where you've gone, this thing can change. I don't want things to be this way. I want some freedom, and it's possible. Then give that away quickly and to as many beings as possible. Here we go.
Sashi
Ukir Jushin Metokram Rirabling Shin Indembadi Sange Shindu Nitervargi Drokun Namda Shinla Chiparsho Yangudadnamandala Kamninyatayami Digyawokun Sunam Yeshe Tsoksokshin Sunam Yeshe Lejunwe Dampa Kuni Doparsho.
And just visualize that being. Get really clear on them being just above the crown of your head, and shrink them down now to the size of a pea, getting more and more powerful with all the essence of wisdom and compassion that you can fathom. Imagine the light emanating from them, so brilliant, and slowly they enter the crown of your head and begin to descend towards the level of your heart. And in there, imagine a pearl-like place where they find a seat and remain permanently, guarding you, teaching you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for coming. You'll find a reading, I think the homework says to memorize these things. They're in your reading. Feel free if you find the cheat sheets with the answer keys to cheat. I don't care. Yeah. Well, I don't really. It's just more habituation for your mind. If anything, think about the bowl offering. Think about that, and if you have a practice, just go deeper. Love it. Enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next week. Thank you. Oh, homeworks and quizzes. Homeworks are here. Thank you.
And who's